it's Doris with All the Books, and I am here with the mid-year book tag, and I was tagged by Adam from Mementomori. Thank you, Adam. And I have a great stack of books to talk about here, so let's just jump right in. Question number 1, what is the best book that you have read so far this year? I know a lot of people like to do the best books that they've read the first half of the year, and I don't think I like to do that. This is only my second year on BookTube, but yeah, I like the excitement of the whole year and looking back on the whole year. But the best book that I read in June, which is a high contender for the best book of the year, definitely in the top 10, probably in the top higher than that, is West by Karis Davies. This is an early America story, colonization, early 1800s, I think. And it's just a coming of age and a midlife crisis, and it is fabulous. Amazing writing. Shawn from Shawn the Book Maniac and I did a buddy read with this in a video series, and I will link the first video of that below. It's spoiler free. This book is tiny, so it's not much of an investment. It's absolutely gorgeous for your collection, and it is brilliant. So, top stars to West. The question number 2, I lost my focus there because West was just so good. What is the best sequel that you read? I haven't read a lot of those, but I'm going to go with The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. This is a middle grade fantasy series set in Russia. It's very snowy feeling, and it's very atmospheric. The first one was The Bear and the Nightingale, which was lovely. Now, I felt like The Bear and the Nightingale was a little hard to keep up with for whatever reason, but The Girl in the Tower just started out with a bang and ended with a wow. I thought the Indian, God, I'm just so excited today, my words. The ending was a bang up ending to this one, so definitely loved this story. Number 3, what is a new release that you're anxious to get to? That is There by Tommy Orange. This is just ripping through BookTube like a wildfire, like, you know, the color of this book. It's hot, man. This is, I believe, contemporary Native American setting in the West Coast, centered around preparing for a powwow, I believe. I've not read it yet, so I don't know all that much. And I think it might be, it says a novel, but I think I remember hearing it might be sort of a short story style novel, if you've read those. I like those. So, yeah. A lot of people that I respect their opinions have loved this, so I'm anxious to get to it very soon. Number 4 is your most anticipated reads for the second half of the year. And I have a list. I have a pre-order list. Can you believe it? So, coming out in August is The Arab of the Future 3 by Riyad Sattouf. This is a graphic novel series about a man, it's a memoir, a man whose father was from the Middle East. I can't remember what country originally, but they lived in several, and his mother, I believe, was French, but they spent most of his early years around the Middle East, around his dad's family, and it's very interesting, his perspective. So yeah, this is the 3rd in that series, and it's been great. The next one coming out in September is Sea Prayer by Khaled Hosseini. Khaled Hosseini, I love him. I absolutely love him. I think this might be a picture book. I think. Anyway. And then in October, there's a bunch. Melmoth by Sarah Perry. She of Essex Serpent. Sorry, my phone rang. A hazard of filming on one's phone. And I'm not feeling like editing today, so we're just going to go with the awkward moment there. So where was I? October new releases, Melmoth by Sarah Perry, She of Essex Serpent fame, another gorgeous cover coming my way in October. And then Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This is a YA fantasy series, and I read the first one, it's been almost 2 years ago, because somehow I managed to get the ARC from my high school librarian. And so, yeah. So I read the first one a year before it came out, and then I had to wait the real year, so it's been almost 2 years. So anxious to get to it. I almost feel like I should reread the first one, whatever that one was. I'm not so good at remembering things. But this is one of those YA series that's like borderline on adult, in that, you know, the writing is more high level for a YA series. I just loved it. And then Wundersmith by Jessica Townsend. This is the sequel to Nevermore, which was so delightful. It's a middle grade fantasy series. I can't remember if I already told you that. Anyway, absolutely delightful. Morgan Crow is adorable. And then Unsheltered by Barbara Kingsolver. Love me some Barbara Kingsolver, and the cover of this one is, it's an endangered plant that's indigenous to Florida, so I'm very excited. I like covers, what can I say? Okay, moving on. Number 5, the biggest disappointment of the year so far. I'm going to go with Bastard Out of Carolina by Dorothy Allison. This is Southern lit, coming of age. People rave about it, and it just didn't hit me, so that was disappointing. I was looking forward to it being amazing, and it was good. I mean, it's a good book, but it just wasn't for me. Number 6, the biggest surprise. That would be The Warden by Anthony Trollope, or really just Anthony Trollope in general. This is Victorian literature, and the thing that surprised me was how relevant it is to modern time. It just, this one and the next one, this is the Barsetshire series. I've read the first 2 thus far. I'm really excited that there are so many Anthony Trollopes yet to be read, because I really loved him that much. But I was surprised by how politically relevant these books are. Anthony Trollope writes from a centrist viewpoint, so he writes about the left side and the right side and the center view. And the Barsetshire series is set in a religious arena, but it's not religious. It's like the politics of religion in England. And then the Palliser series, I believe, is more about straight up governmental politics. But I'm very surprised and delighted by this series and this author. Favorite new author? Elizabeth von Arnim. She is delightful. I absolutely loved this book, Elizabeth and Her German Garden. And then I read The Enchanted April and loved it too. So I have Vera and Fraulein Schmidt on the way from Book Depository in these cute, lovely, beautiful covers. So yes, I love Elizabeth von Arnim. Number 8. Favorite bookish crush. I actually have an answer for this one this year. That would be Roger from Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. As the little ladies in this book speak to on his behalf, he rode 7 miles to bring Molly a wasp's nest. That's my kind of guy right there. My kind of guy. And he didn't even realize he loved her then. He was just doing it on a friend level. What a guy. Number 9, your favorite character. I'm going to go with Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. And this is kind of a misnomer because she's not a character, because this is a memoir, and so this is her. So I like Marjane. You're awesome. This is a graphic novel. Another coming of age little girl in the Middle East, and she is just a little spitfire. She is fun and delightful. And you know, I almost said Tara Westover from Educated. I loved her too. And another memoir, not character, so into memoirs. Number 10, a book that made you cry. In the Country We Love by Diane Guerrero. Several times. This is an immigrant story. The girl was born in the States. Her parents were not. They were undocumented and got deported when she was 14. And so, obviously, as a mother of a 14-year-old, that gave me some feels. But also her young adult life and dealing with depression and self-harm and even suicide attempts and finding her place in the world. Several times I teared up. Several times. Number 11, a book that made you happy. Nevermore by Morgan Crow. Not only does it have a giant cat in it, a talking cat, but it's just, I smiled the whole time reading it. This is another middle grades fantasy, and it is absolutely delightful. I had fun. Our buddy read this with a few other people, and we all were just so excited about this and getting on the front end of a new series that looks like it's going to take off and be absolutely awesome. Just made me happy all the way around. Number 12, a book to film adaptation. I don't watch a lot of movies, and the ones I do watch, like my son and I are kind of adventure junkies. Anytime a Marvel or a Star Wars or, you know, something like Jurassic World comes out, we're there on opening weekend. So those aren't real book to film adaptation type movies. But Adam from Mementomori has started a book to film adaptation club, and I read the first book and actually watched the film, and they were both great. My son watched the film with me and he loved it as well. And this was not what I expected in a very good way. I assumed it was going to be a horror novel, and it was more a southern gothic lit novel, and it was just great. Loved it. Truly. And number 13, favorite videos that you've done thus far. So I'm gonna go with the review collaboration that I did with Shawn, the book Maniac, for West. We did 2 video series. One was spoiler free and the other had spoilers, and that was just fabulous. The book was amazing. It's always fun chatting with Shawn. He's so insightful. And I just felt like going in depth with that novel and really, you know, thinking about it and being creative with the video. It was just fun. And I will link that below. I think I mentioned that already. Number 14, a book with a beautiful cover. That is going to be, we're going to go with Gulf. The Making of an American Sea by Jack E. Davis. I was born and raised in Florida. I have a soft spot for Florida beach decor, which is a lot of neutrals, talking about wood grains and woven baskets and such, and then pastels washed over it. So this book really fits the bill. I love vintage prints. It's got a gorgeous spine as well. So yeah, Yeah, I think it's just beautiful. I have just barely started this book. It's a nonfiction about the Gulf of Mexico. Another one from my home state. And number 15, a book you need to read by the end of the year. You didn't think we were going to have a video without it, did you? War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I've read the first volume. There's 4 volumes. And I simply need to read this because I didn't finish it by the end of last year. I started it in 2017. And I like to like finish off all my books by the end of the year. And I just didn't with this one. So I don't want to go 2 years without finishing it. And same for this lovely, The Evangelicals by Frances Fitzgerald. This was a National Book Award finalist, and it's kind of dry, but I bought it, so I want to finish it. The Struggle to Shape America. We're still struggling here. But yeah, I didn't quite finish this last year. I didn't at all. And I want to finish it before, I don't want to carry it over another year. So, now we're going to tag a couple people. And these are a couple of new booktubers that I have discovered recently. So check them out. Tired Mama Tries to Read. She is great. Great reviewer. And just barely started. She's like still in double digits, so she needs some people to check her out. She's worth it. And then Nashwa Reads, who is another one that has just the ever so slight edge of sarcasm, which I find absolutely delightful, so check her out. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon.